Hello everyone, welcome to Full Moon Movies. When Little Buddha is presented, it's an opportunity to revisit a film that tries to bridge cultures and beliefs. Directed by Bernardo Bertolucci, starring Keanu Reeves, Bridget Fonda, Chris Isaac, and Alex Wiesendanger, it juxtaposes modern Seattle with the life of Prince Siddhartha, who is the pre-Buddha, threading reincarnation and spiritual inheritance into a family drama. The film opens in Seattle by Lama Norbu, played by Ying Rao Chen, and a handful of Buddhist monks who arrive seeking to confirm that a young American boy, Jesse Conrad, may be the reincarnation of the departed teacher Lama Dorji. Jesse's parents, Dean, played by Chris Isaac, and Lisa by Bridget Fonda, are skeptical and caught off guard and confronted with spiritual claims that challenge their rational world. Meanwhile, in Nepal, ancient India, we follow the life of Siddhartha, played by Keanu Reeves. In parallel, his royal upbringing, quest, temptations, and eventual reunification. Now, these two threads, the modern and myth, run in a tandem until they converge. Now, Jesse's arc is one of the wonder, confusion, and growth. He's a child asked to inherit the spiritual weight before fully understanding it. The film positions him as open, curious, and receptive, but the emotional journey also belongs to his father, Dean, who must reconcile his professional downfall, doubts, and the possibility that his son might hold a transcendent identity. The father has the longer journey, in fact, because he must transform his worldview. Meanwhile, Siddhartha's arc is more mythic. We watch him reject comfort, confront suffering, resist temptation, like the Mara's assaults, and finally being awakened. Now, the contrast is both structural and thematic. One path is internal and the other is internal plus external. Now, some standout scenes define this contrast. In the modern thread, the sequence in Bhutan where Jesse meets the monks in the monastery is serene and strange, offering visual and tonal contrast to the Seattle scenes. In the myth thread, Siddhartha's humiliation and confrontation with Mara's illusions carry weight. For example, the temptation of sensuality, fear, ego, all swirling. The moment of confrontation when Siddhartha stands bare to the elements stripped of identity is one of the film's emotional centerpieces. The final ceremony where Jesse is tested among the three candidates' children, Jesse, Raju, and Gita, is heavy and suspense, with the revelation that all the three embody aspects of the teacher, which is the mind, speech, and body. Visually, the film benefits greatly from its collaboration with cinematographer Vittorio Storaro. From the original elements, the 4K version is said to use the new HDR Dolby Vision master supervised by Storaro himself, ensuring color grading respects to its original palette. Now, the film was shot partly in 65mm for the ancient sequences and 35 anamorphic for the rest, giving a contrast of scale and texture. In 4K, you'll see the skin textures, fabric detail, temple tile patterns, dust motes in shafts of light, all more tactile than before. The restoration is praised for preserving the film grain and avoiding over-smoothing. On sound, the 4K disc includes lossless audio, likely the DTS HD or comparable, and the Blu-ray includes the same scan. The score by Ryuichi Sakamoto grounds both the threads. Its orchestral Eastern-Western fusion underlines the emotional and spiritual gravity. Critics have long praised its musical contribution. Yet, Little Buddha is not without its critics. Many critics, example Roger Ebert, found that the modern segments less credible or emotionally distant, seeing them a weaker compared to the mythic retelling. The narrative sometimes feels that two films are actually stitched, the modern story with family tension and the Siddhartha's legend, and the transitions aren't always seamless. Some viewers find it didactic, too much telling about spiritual truths rather than letting them emerge. There's also a criticism of Orientalism or white saviory framing. For instance, Jesse is often portrayed as especially the chosen in a narrative, where Western child absorbs Eastern wisdom, which rubs uneasy in some readings. Now, some audiences' comments reflect that the film tries to do too much and loses focus, especially the mid-third. Now, box office-wise, Little Buddha crossed over 48 million worldwide, against a production budget around 35 million. It was especially strong in France, becoming one of the top local releases in its year. The film's legacy lives more in cinema circles, Buddhist viewers, and those drawn to spiritual cinema rather than mass mainstream cult. Now, what does a 4K UHD Blu-ray edition bring? The Kino Lobos release includes the new 4K HDR Dolby Vision Master, supervised by Storaro, inclusion of the 140 mini international cut, preserving Bertolucci's original vision, supplemental features like the new audio commentary by critic Bill G. Abiri, archival interview with Bertolucci, and the making of Little Buddha, which is an interview with producer Jeremy Thomas, and the theatrical trailers. Now, Blu-ray, this also includes the same scan and audio. Now, in the context of your viewing, this means that the film's visual ambition, for example, the temples, Himalayan landscapes, temple interiors, period costumes, all that now carry more texture, depth, and resonance. Where older versions might have some blur fabric folds or flattened shadows, the 4K edition opens up those subtleties. Now, also there's archival extras that help you to fill in the interpretative gaps, where certain transitions exist and Bertolucci intended and where the compromises were actually made. In conclusion, Little Buddha is an ambitious and spiritual fable dressed in family drama and mythic retelling. In its best moments, it transcends the didactic and becomes luminous. Jesse's curiosity, Siddhartha's renunciation, the final ceremony all vibrate with sincerity. But the film also carries the burdens of translation between cultures and between stories. The new 4K release doesn't fix all its narrative clunks, but it gives the film a fresh life, clearer, more immersive, and more textured. For fans of spiritual cinema, for those curious about Buddhism and cinematic portrayal of it, or the lovers of beautiful filmmaking, now this edition is a gift. Now this movie is a must watch.